Any advice on becoming more comfortable with viewing your own work as good while not being arrogant? Here's the thing. If you do good work, some people are going to be jealous and they're going to call you arrogant no matter what. So, on the one hand, we don't want to be arrogant. That's true. It's not really a good thing to be. But on the other hand, if what you're really worried about is being called arrogant or being perceived by arrogant as arrogant by some people, that's just going to happen if you're successful. So let go of that, right? Um, the more successful you are, the more people will intentionally misunderstand you in a way that is highly unfavorable to you because they think like it's some form of like weird gross entertainment that people have, that people have always had, but then it's in overdrive on the internet. So that's just part of being successful at anything. um, Now if your concern is actually being arrogant, that's a good concern. um, but honestly, it's like, look, to do engineering, what are we still in high security mode now? So here's the thing: to do engineering, you need to do these analyses of what is the best thing to do. How do you judge what's best? Well, you develop some aesthetic and some system for evaluating things, right? I mean, there's some general words there, but hopefully you know what I'm saying, right? And it's just in the beginning, when you start out in programming, how do you get those aesthetics and how do you get that system? Well, you probably just were taught it from someone, like a book or the school or something, right? Because in the beginning, you don't necessarily have much programming experience, so you won't have developed your own thorough aesthetics. And so, the problem often is that if you learned it from school, I hate to say it, but most people who teach and most people who write books and stuff aren't very good at programming compared to someone who spent their whole life programming, right? And so now doesn't mean it's bad to learn from them, because it may be better to learn from them than nothing, right? But at the same time, you then have to realize that what you have learned, the goal of it is to just get you started, and your goal is to surpass that, right? How do you surpass that? You need to be very evidence based, right? And that's the difference, right? Some people pick up dogmas, essentially religions, from school or books or somewhere, and then they just believe that and they argue that on the internet, and they never really do enough serious programming to notice that these things aren't quite correct, right? And perversely, the more time you spend arguing on the internet about how programming style X is the best, the less experience you get that might help you move past that, right? There was a whole Twitter argument literally today that I've mostly ignored about this. It's just one guy being annoying. Um, so the thing is, the more that you do that successfully, well, how do you know when you're successful? Well, there are objective measurements like I'm able to write my programs faster, or they run faster, or there are fewer lines of code, or they're more understandable, or they work better, or I feel better about them, right? And the thing is, again, there's this culture in programming of faking those things, like of claiming that you can write things faster than you used to be able to because you want your team to win, right? And hopefully you get past that, but again, a lot of people don't. But if you get past that and you really are reality based about observing how well is it working what I'm doing, and how can I improve, then not only do you get better at programming, right? But you get a lot more confidence in your evaluation process, in your metrics, because that's what helped make you better, right? It's like, oh, clearly I am much better than I was a few years ago, say. And it's because I developed this particular aesthetic and this method of judging what is good and what is not, right? And then once you've got that, That's the thing, is like your improvement gives you credence that the evaluation is good, and so, or that the system of evaluation is good. And then when you use that system of evaluation on your own stuff, if it tells you your own stuff is pretty good, then you will trust that, right? It's no longer, a lot of people just want to believe that whatever they do is good, right? That's just a human thing. But you certainly can get past that. I mean, maybe not 100%, right? But you can get mostly past that. And that's just how that works. It doesn't happen immediately, right? It comes through practice.